I was just telling you that's what you look like.
I am white. It's a sad thing, Caleb.
Damn, I didn't know.
Can somebody tell me why Justin was talking trash about fantasy basketball? And his team's like one of the lowest scoring teams so far this week.
Yeah.
Dude, because he put up like 1,000 something on me last week.
Me and
Hey,
TV both put up 1,000.
I put up me and Broad was a battle.
Yeah, me and TV, dude.
I was sweating out. I thought he was gonna beat me on Sunday because he took the lead for a minute. Me and Caleb's pretty close right now. Caleb's down by 53, but it's only Wednesday.
So it doesn't matter how much you can go down because James Harden put up at like an 80 spot for me. So it really doesn't matter. People can go crazy.
Fucking LaMarcus Aldridge didn't even play tonight. What a pussy. That bodes well for the Lakers, like winning the game, but not for fantasy. All right. We are live let me send this link out and then we will go.
Oh. I hate Dabo Sweeney.
It says I'm streaming NBA right now. That's what the Twitch says. I don't know if that's true, guys, but that's what. Oh shit! I gotta change the title.
Kind of excited for this Oklahoma-Florida game. Is everybody playing?
I don't know. I think Trask is playing. I don't know if the tight end is. I don't think
Pitts isn't. I don't think Pitts is actually. I know Tony is playing.
Rattler obviously would be because he doesn't have anything to sit out for. Live podcast, NBA talk, week 17 picks, sports discussion.
Oh, did y'all see De'Aaron King's coming back?
I did. He got hurt yesterday though.
Yeah, he did.
I think he tore his ACL. I didn't see anything else, but I know he did get hurt.
Wouldn't this be like his 6th year in college?
Yeah, it's insane. All right. Let's get it going. Let me pull up the thing. Episode 35. It feels like we recorded like 2 weeks ago, but it was like 3 or 4 actually. So we're back. 3. You guys good?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1, go. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 35 of the Unfinished Business Podcast, hosted by me, Tristan Beckman, my 2 guys, co-host Broderick Beecham, Caleb Ball. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, everybody?
What's up?
We got Caleb with the new blue light glasses, Brod with the little haircut he's got going on. I like it. Second episode of season 4. We've been out for a few weeks, scheduling issues over the winter break. But we are back, and we're gonna be back next week. I know that for sure. NFL playoffs episode next week. It's gonna be a fun one. I'm guaranteeing that we'll have a guest on to do NFL playoff picks with us. But today we're really pumped to be back with some exciting content. As always, we really do appreciate the support from you guys on the podcast. We really hope it gets even bigger as we continue to start up the episodes for our 4th season. Today we have an exciting episode on tap. We're going to talk about an extremely exciting sports weekend. We got some NFL playoffs, like play-in games. We have just seeing who's in. There's a lot of AFC. In the AFC, at least, there's a lot of teams that are in kind of precarious situations. We have a college football playoff. The start of that this weekend. We have some big bowl games. And there are some good college basketball games on Saturday as well. We're going to talk about the latest sports news. And we're going to preview and predict the upcoming Week 17 of the NFL games. So before we get into all that, however, we're going to talk about some of the biggest news going around in the sports world right now. It's not as big of a news thing as just kind of getting some filler here. According to the Transaction Wire today, former Seahawks defensive lineman Damon Snacks Harrison was claimed by the Packers. Also former Lions defensive lineman. So, he's played for everybody's team except mine in this podcast. Snacks is older now, but Green Bay, they need as much help as they can get. They've really struggled with their run defense, although they looked very good on Sunday Night Football this past week against Tennessee. How do you guys feel about this move for Green Bay? How do you think it affects them?
I mean, I don't really think it does too much. I mean, Snacks is going to be a big guy that can fill some holes for them, but I don't see him being a huge impact for their team. I think that they're still going to struggle a bit in the run game, but I mean, if they play like they did against Tennessee, I think they'll be fine. But I don't see it being a huge impact.
Caleb, you've been Seahawks guy, so you've watched a little bit more of Snacks than we have. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, man, he made some big plays in the red zone for us a couple times, but I don't know if it was his health or us holding him back, but he just didn't get a whole lot of crucial minutes. So I don't know if that's going to change or not, because obviously they're picking him up for him to do some things on that team, and we didn't really see a lot of that for the Seahawks. So I wonder if that's going to change and if he'll actually get some minutes for them to help make a playoff push and obviously deeper into the playoffs that they need to go.
Yeah, it's I mean, he's older, so we really don't know the impact he's going to make, but him alongside Kenny Clark, it'll definitely help out Kenny Clark, who's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. And I think the Packers just need defensive help anywhere they can get it. Depth is always going to help you in the playoffs. It's not going to hurt, especially veteran leadership. That will also help. Next up on the docket, real sad news today. Vikings running back Dalvin Cook's not playing Sunday against the Lions after his father's death. We do send for our thoughts and prayers to Dalvin Cook and the rest of his family, and we really hope he can recover strongly from this. It's a big loss for him, I'm sure, and we fully understand him not playing this weekend. It'd be tough for any of us in that situation. Really, the big talk of the NFL, like the last few weeks, it's been the Washington football team for a variety of reasons. One, they're battling for an NFC championship, NFC East championship, not NFC championship. That's not going to happen, but they're trying to get that NFC East. They're trying to get a playoff berth. Ron Rivera, he's one of the Coach of the Year candidates, stuff like that. But Dwayne Haskins has probably been the biggest guy in the news for them, and not for great reasons. Last week, after they lost to the Seahawks, he went to the strip club and was spotted unmasked there. It was a battle for him to get cleared for this past week's game against the Panthers. He ended up getting cleared, and he played like dog crap. And Monday, he was released by the Washington football team. So a 2019 first round draft pick, a guy that I will admit I wanted the Broncos to draft. I was watching it with Broad, the draft. I think we were watching it with a few friends, and I was like, when Haskins was falling, I was like, why doesn't Denver grab him here? Gladly they did not. Haskins didn't really end up being all that in the NFL. I don't know if his career is over, but this is a really tough, step in the wrong direction for him, and he has to learn from this. So, Ian Rappaport tweeted today he's unlikely to sign before the start of the season, the end of the regular season, but he is receiving interest from several teams, including the Carolina Panthers, which is really interesting, considering the current state of their roster. Are there any teams other than that you guys think could really benefit from bringing a guy like Haskins, maybe as a QB, like, just a depth guy, or maybe a fresh start for him? Do you guys think that would help him?
Yeah, personally, I think that he needs to go to a team. To be honest, I like Carolina because they're building to be young, and I think Teddy's not the future for them. I think he's just there for a few years. I really think this guy needs to go to a team where he's the backup. He doesn't need to go somewhere where they're going to feature him. He needs a few years because he needs to gain maturity. I think him and Baker have had similar problems throughout the young part of their careers, being mature, and Baker's figured it out. Baker, as we saw this season, has become more mature, and I think that's the issue we have with Haskins because the talent's there. I think I've seen Haskins play well before, and he's shown flashes. I just think he has to put it on a consistent basis, and then also the maturity levels needs to be there. So wherever he goes, he needs to go where there's a starter already in place that's been in the league and that can teach him the way so he can mature as a player.
Yeah. Caleb, any thoughts here?
I think a good fit for him could be a team like the 49ers. They have a couple good solidified offensive weapons that he could use to develop with, obviously with George Kittle, because however good Scary Terry is, George Kittle's about 5 times better than him. So having a guy like that would really help him. But I agree with Broad. I don't know if it's a issue with his skill. It's just an issue with his attitude and things of that nature, because towards the end of the Seahawks game, he really started to get it going. You could tell that the attitude was getting positive. He was showing some good body language, but the second that the drive ended, he fell right back into a slump and then came back next drive and threw the picks. So it was ugly. He just has he has to grow. He just has to get older, learn more about the game. He'll get there.
My issue with Haskins is I just don't see, I've looked back and look at the Ohio State tape, and I see it now. I see the problem with him. He's not mobile. So the non-mobile quarterbacks are so rare now. They left when Peyton Manning left. Tom Brady and Drew Brees, Big Ben, when they're gone, I don't know how many more of those guys we're going to see. these guys that can't move out of the pocket. Haskins is a little bit more mobile than them, but he's not mobile. Like, it's not his specialty. And the attitude is a problem. He doesn't seem like he's gotten any better from last year, and I don't know if he worked on it enough. I don't think he worked on his craft enough. When you look at the stats, I mean, I'm trying to pull them up here. I just don't know, man. There's no excuse for Washington, for you when Washington is starting guys like Kyle Allen over you, Alex Smith off a devastating leg injury. They're immediately starting him over you. I don't think the coaching staff, we obviously know they were not in favor of Dwayne Haskins. They didn't draft Dwayne Haskins. One thing I will say, and this is just not to be controversial, this is not a race thing. There's people on, the show's First Take, Undisputed, Colin Cowherd show. This is not a race thing. This is simply a young man who has made what did he do earlier? He posted his stat line earlier in the season, didn't he? Is that right? That's something like that. Last year he did something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a headline. Goes to the strip club, unmasked in a pandemic, where you're supposed to be the leader of your team. He was a team captain, fellas. Like, this is what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. Like I said, it is a maturity thing. At the end of the day, here's the harsh truth. Some people don't pan out. Some people just aren't built for the NFL, and some people just turn out to be busts. So, like you said, there's no race behind this, but like maybe he's just not a starting caliber quarterback in this league. I think that he can be. I've seen talent, I've seen flashes, and I really think it comes down to a maturity thing. But you could be absolutely right. At the end of the day, he could just be a bust and just not fit to play in the NFL.
I'm going to be honest. I think his comparison right now, for me at least, and it's not like bust level, because Jamarcus Russell was a huge bust for the Raiders, but that's probably the comparison. Guys who, were not mobile. They were good in college on really high-powered teams. LSU, Ohio State, the comparison. Jamarcus Russell just had a terrible attitude. He didn't want to get better, and he thought he could get everything handed to him in the NFL, and that's not how it works. There are guys willing to outwork you everywhere you go. That's the issue with Dwayne Haskins. If he can figure that out, maybe he can figure out his career and get somewhere. But I think I agree with you guys. I think a team with a stable starter in place would be a good spot for him. Somebody you can learn under. Kind of similar to what Jameis Winston's doing, but Jameis Winston's doing it for different reasons.
Yes.
Okay. So with that discussion out of the way, Buffalo Bills, this was interesting. I really don't know why they're doing this, but they're bringing in former Texans and Dolphins wide receiver Kenny Stills, a pretty big name, honestly, at this point in the year. Stills got cut earlier this year by Houston. He's visiting the Bills. That still needs to pass through the COVID protocols, but there's optimism that the deal does get done. For the Bills, I don't really think they need Kenny Stills. Like I said earlier, with the whole situation with Snacks Harrison, depth helps, but Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, guys like that, I think they have John Brown even just came off IR. I almost forgot about him. They have 5 receivers that are very heavily used in their offense. I don't see the need here, fellas, unless I'm wrong. I think Stills can go somewhere else and get a lot more touches. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Love.
Well, I think this is a depth thing. They have a lot of guys who have shown that they could be injury prone in years past. John Brown, Cole Beasley this last week got injured. It's just that I think that the Bills are at a place right now where they believe they can compete for a Super Bowl. So they're going to try and bring as much talent as they can in to really help this team. And if for them it's bringing in a stable receiver that can be the number 2 next to Diggs when other guys go out, then so be it. But I feel like it is a depth thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's like more of a thing. Like, I think their plan is to compete with Kansas City. Like, I know they have the weapons, but we've seen with Kansas City, sometimes you can never have enough weapons. Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, DeMarco Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, like you can name it. They have multiple weapons, and I just think that Kenny Stills is bringing in another guy who can make the big play. We've seen him make big plays before. He's a big play guy, and like Lev said, for the injury thing. So I just think they know that they're going to have to play offense when it comes to Kansas City, and it's probably going to be a shootout. So they're going to try to get as many offensive weapons as they can that they can use against Kansas City.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Kansas City has a lot of weapons. The Bills are hot right now. They're really rolling. Josh Allen's playing really good football. They're probably the second best team in the AFC right now. But it's going to be interesting to see if they can challenge the Chiefs if they get to that point in the playoffs. But we will see what happens this week and what happens with Kenny Stills. Maybe he can really provide some help for that team. NBA injury news, some tough injury news for a couple teams. The Memphis Grizzlies young star point guard Ja Morant is going to miss 3 to 5 weeks due to a grade 2 left ankle sprain. This is honestly really good news considering how bad the injury did look. He got carted off in a wheelchair, so that was kind of a fear that he might have tore his Achilles or something like that. But he'll be back in 3 to 5 weeks, assuming the recovery goes as planned. Memphis is an interesting team. I'm not totally sure what their record is right now, fellas, but they've been I think they've lost a lot of their games. I'm trying to pull it up here. So they are 1-2. Do you guys think how do you guys think Memphis manages this without Ja Morant? Guys like Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen are going to be playing a lot more bigger roles.
Dylan Brooks for sure is going to take a lot of the scoring load on because I know right now they're out without Jaren Jackson too, and I think they're going to be without him for the season. I believe. I'm not too sure, but
he's going to be back probably in January.
Okay.
Brendan Clark he got hurt, but I think he's fine now.
But I pray for John because I know how bad the ankle sprains are. I know Caleb knows as well. I've suffered my fair share of ankle sprains throughout the years, and they're no joke. Like they hurt and they're hard to walk on. So that injury probably looked bad. It looked bad, and it is bad because they suck. But at the end of the day, I just see this Memphis team. I don't really see them getting in the playoffs this year. I just think that it's so much, especially with this jaw injury now and Jaren having to come back and get back into the rhythm of things. I think it's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs this year, but I have very high hopes for this Memphis squad. Dylan Brooks is a young, great player. Grayson Allen's playing great basketball right now. Ja, we already know what kind of talent he is. And Jaren Jackson is also somebody that people forget about that's actually really good at basketball as well. So I have high hopes for this Memphis team, but I don't think it's this year.
Taylor, what about you?
Yeah, I think that the two main people for me that are going to prosper off of this on that team are going to be Tyus and Desmond Bane. I think that they've both been getting increasingly bigger roles, and I think that with this injury going down, they're going to see a lot more minutes. I'm not a huge Tyus fan, but I understand he's decent at the sport. But Desmond Bane played really good last night. Got some open shots. If he can knock them down, he'll be good. But overall, with this Grizzlies team, it's not there yet. It will be though, but right now it's not there yet.
Yeah, Desmond Bane is a really good shooter. I forgot about him. I didn't even know he was playing. I thought he was hurt, but he probably will benefit from this as well. Valanciunas is going to be a go-to guy for them on offense. He's a walking double-double anyways. Brooklyn Nets, tough injury for them. They really looked good. They were looking really good, and they still are going to be really good. But this does hurt. Their starter, Spencer Dinwiddie, he suffered a partially torn ACL in his right knee. Sources told Shams Training the other day. The injury was suffered on a contact play, and there's no other structural damage in the knee. He's going to miss the remainder of the season with surgery next week. Tough loss for the Nets. How do you guys see this affecting them? Does it affect their status for you guys in the East, or are you guys kind of not really taking this as big value here?
I mean, it's a little bit. I just think Kyrie and KD will have to step up a little bit more when it comes playoff time. And I think during the season, it really matters. They're going to make the playoffs. They have a fantastic roster, even without Dinwiddie. Guys like Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan, Landry Shamet. So I think they'll be fine. I just think maybe a little bit more from Kyrie and KD, even though they've given us a lot already, will have to be contributed. Because Spencer Dinwiddie was no joke. Like, he was a hooper. So, I mean, they're losing something from this, but I don't think it's significant enough to affect maybe. I think they still make it to the conference finals no matter what.
Yep.
I think that if you would have asked me last year, adding in Durant and Kyrie, obviously, about Dinwiddie, if this would have hurt, it would have hurt a lot more. But their last game against the Grizzlies, Cabarrot played 40 really good minutes, and then Chris Chiozza played 27. So I think that as long as guys like that can step up in his replacement, I think they'll be fine. It'll obviously lessen the production, but I think that both those guys have enough skill that they can combine and create some type of bench production for them.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think they're still one of the top teams in the East for sure. It's hard to beat KD and Kyrie right now, especially the way they've been playing. They've both been playing really well. So let's move on to let's do some NBA discussion while we're at it, and then we'll do the college football playoff picks. So I just posed this question to you guys. What is a team that you've been impressed with throughout the first week? I'm going to start with you, Caleb.
Okay, well, all right. So I have two answers. My cop out answer is the Hawks. Cop out answer. They've been playing really well. But my other answer, I'm gonna go with the Cavaliers. I think that their backcourt has really shown that they can be something in the future as long as they keep building around them. And I think that Garland and Sexton have the opportunity to do something special there. So
Sexland.
no.
It's Sexland. That's the nickname.
I like
Larry
that.
Nance
I like
Jr.
that.
Larry Nance Jr. said that was the nickname, so we're gonna listen to him. He's playing really well, by the way.
Yeah, so is Chetty Osman. They're putting together a good little season right now.
Even I think Drummond's playing pretty well.
Yeah, I think he's averaging 20, getting damn near 20 a game.
Shooting the three now.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff for Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
You have to shoot the three, essentially now.
Yeah, definitely these day and age.
Yeah, that's my team.
Yeah, I like that. I've been watching a little bit of Sexton because I have him on my fantasy team, and he's really good. He was good last year. Really averaged like 20 a game on borderline elite efficiency, and the defense needs to improve, but he's going to be a really good player in this league for a really long time, and especially in the East, I think he has all-star potential for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you my team, and this is a team that I have a player that I'm specifically kind of looking at here, and this is, again, a guy that I've watched because of fantasy, but the Sacramento Kings have really impressed me, man. I mean,
Yes.
For a team, I thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the West. The West is so tough, but they've been impressive, man. They beat the Nuggets on opening night in overtime. They beat the Suns. They split a double back-to-back with the Suns over the weekend, and then they beat the Nuggets again. And, man, I was watching last night's game. Tyrese Halliburton looks really good. I told you guys he should not have fallen to 12, and the Kings, they finally hit on a draft pick. They drafted Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic. I'm sure they regret that. Even though Marvin Bagley, we haven't seen enough out of him yet to say that he's not good, but, Luka, it's just kind of a different situation there. But I think a lot of teams are going to regret passing up on Halliburton. He looks like an impact player, and he's just really doing some good things on this team behind De'Aaron Fox and those guys, and they're playing really well. And I'm glad to see Buddy Hield's role is back. I mean, a guy who did not – he really shouldn't have been benched. And Luke Walton, they have a little bit of an on and off relationship. Harrison Barnes has been playing decently. Rashawn Holmes has been playing well as well. So interesting team. I don't think they can keep it up, but they have been a team that has surprised me for sure, and they've impressed me. Rod, a team that's impressed you so far?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Magic. They're 4-0 this year, and Markelle Fultz, the former number 1 pick, really has found his position. Like, he's really found a spot in Orlando. I remember seeing a pass to Vucevic, no look behind the back. Again, I think it was against the Wizards. It was beautiful. He's been playing really good basketball right now. Like I said, 4-0 right now. They're at the top of the East right now. I think they're going to make the playoffs this year. Again, I know they made it last year. I think they're going to make it again this year. Watch out for Markelle Fultz. He's starting to show everybody why he was the number 1 pick in the draft, and he's playing phenomenal basketball right now.
Yeah, that team's been very interesting. Vucevic, we obviously know, is a really good player. Aaron Gordon has kind of been banged up with injuries, limited in his minutes, but once he gets to full minutes, that's going to be a solid team in the East. Terrence Ross is actually their leading scorer right now. He's been playing really well, 21 points a game. He's shooting the 3-ball really well. So former, 8th pick in 2013. Yeah. Terrence Ross, maybe this is the breakout year for him. Not just the dunker anymore. But I like that. They're atop the East, 4-0, and I like that 10 pick. Another team, I don't know if they'll be able to keep it up, but it'll be interesting to watch, and they have some young talent. Don't know when Jonathan Isaac's going to be back. I don't think he'll be back this year, but if he was,
that's a big piece more scary. That's a big piece too.
Yeah, that is a big piece. He really played really well last year. What'd you say, Caleb?
I was just saying he's so good.
He won't be back this year, I don't think. But this team's got a little cornerstone in Fultz.
I think it's his build. It's his build too. Like, Jonathan Isaac's build is ridiculous, and if he could take people off the dribble and shoot the 3, my God.
Give the Magic 3 years. They're gonna be the best team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
I like
Fultz. That's a bold claim. We'll have to see what happens there. On the broad, I'm going to go back to you. Team that has not impressed you thus far.
The
Disappointing.
Nuggets. I'm going to say the Nuggets is one of them, but I'm also going to say the Wizards. And really, the Wizards thing is just like I didn't expect them to do good, but 0-4 with Westbrook and Beal. Expected a little better out of them, but it's really been the Nuggets. Murray has really not looked that good. Jokic is about the only player on the team right now that is really looked at an all-star level throughout the first 4 games of the season. But it's one of the things where the Clippers handled them for the most part. And like you said, the Magic have beaten them. So it's just, or not the Magic, the Kings have beat them. So it's just one of the things
Twice.
Twice. So it's just one of the things where they haven't looked like the team that they were in the bubble last year, where Jamal Murray was going off for 50 whenever he wanted, and Jokic was playing phenomenal basketball as well. Now it's back to last year where we're like, is Murray that superstar that can merge with Jokic? Because we all know that the Joker is top
He's
5
been playing
center.
insane,
That's what
man.
I'm saying. Probably, if not the number 1, top 3 center in the league. So at the end of the day, it's all up to Jamal Murray right now, and he's not playing good basketball.
Yeah, he's not playing well at all, and it's not good. The Nuggets are not in a good position if he does not play decently. He doesn't have to play like he did in the bubble. He just has to play solid basketball, and he's not playing that right now. A team that has disappointed me. Gonna be honest with you guys, I have kind of been disappointed in the Toronto Raptors. It's a team that I thought, coming off they were in the semifinals, Game 7 with Boston. This is a team that I thought was not going to fall off like this. They might not have. They might just be a rough start. But they're playing their games in Tampa Bay this year. They really struggled last night against the Sixers to really generate any offense. They lost to the Spurs, and then they lost to the Pelicans, who is another team that they're terrible. The Pelicans are awful, by the way. If the league wants to force Zion down our throats, please make sure he's on a good basketball team. Just so like that, they got blown out last night. It was so bad. But the Raptors, I just think that they're better than that. 0-3 at this point in the year. Kyle Lowry, Siakam needs to play better. Fred VanVleet needs to play better. He's making a lot of money for them, and they just need more contribution from everybody, and we'll see what happens. But I think Nick Nurse is a good coach. I'm not worried about them necessarily, but I am disappointed in the start for them.
Yeah,
Caleb?
I just think with the Raptors, I think it's showing that they don't have a superstar, and I feel like that's showing.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to generate offense when you don't have a superstar.
Yeah, that's true. Caleb, what's a team that has disappointed you? And
I have a player and I have a team.
Okay.
For the team, we can re-talk about the Pelicans because I do want to talk about them because I watched every single one of their games so far.
Well, I mean, you had to. They're all on national TV. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude, just give Zion the entire TV schedule.
And I will say that their 2 big acquisitions for this last year have been terrible. Like, to just say the least, they've been terrible.
Bledsoe's awful.
Bledsoe has provided no offense or defense to this team. Steven Adams is not the answer next to Zion. They both just look out of sorts. It looks like the offense looks terrible whenever Brandon Ingram or Zion can't just go get their own bucket. It looks terrible. And defensively, you already know that you have 2 huge liabilities in Zion and Brandon Ingram. So it shows that if you can't outscore a team by 20 plus, then the Pelicans are losing every single game. It's terrible. Their defense it's awful.
I mean, BI and Zion, I mean, they're doing everything they can. This team just sucks around them. Like, Lonzo hasn't really – I thought Lonzo was going to improve this year. I mean, I still think he's going to be a good player, but not really yet done anything. JJ Redick's shooting terribly. Josh Hart, I'm not a big Josh Hart guy. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker needs more minutes. I think Kira Lewis Jr., they drafted him for a reason. He might be hurt. I don't know. He's only played 1 game. It'd be interesting to see. Jackson Hayes is – I hate to say it, but I don't think he's going to be that good.
No, he won't be.
Maybe he can be a bench center for them in the future. But right now, he hasn't really provided anything in that role, especially this year. It's worse than last year, and I didn't think he was that great last year. We'll see what happens, but I agree with you. They've been really disappointing. Okay. What is – never mind.
I get my player off too, or am I?
Oh, go ahead, get your player off. But we're gonna just stop on those questions because I do think they're kind of overemphasized to the next questions I had. So this will be it.
All right. Well, my player, I hate doing this because I really love him. Love the Louisville guys, but Donovan Mitchell has been playing like absolute trash this season so far, and I feel like that needs to be talked about because he's shooting something like 20% from three, like low 30s from the field, not averaging over 5 assists, and it's just that I know that obviously it's going to take him some time to get readjusted to having his full team back with him, but it seems like he's taking bad shots, seems like he's forcing, and it might just be because he's trying to get back in the flow of things, but if it isn't, man, he is playing terrible.
I trust Don to figure it out. He hasn't been playing great, but Lou Dort on you is not an easy solution, man. Lou Dort.
No, it is not, baby.
Lou Dort's one of the
That
best
man
defenders in the
is
league.
locked down.
So impressive stuff from Lou
I mean,
Dort.
we've seen it. Think we've seen it though, where Don has these stretches where he's really bad. Like, to be honest, last year wasn't a great season for him really either. And then in the bubble, he just exploded.
Yeah, he went crazy.
So I just think it's just like with Bogdan back, or with him back and all that. I just think it's going to take a little bit for the offense to get back rolling. And like TB said, you don't want Luke Dort on you, baby.
You don't. They've been Jazz have been struggling, but I think they'll figure it out. All right, that is it for our NBA discussion. College football playoff is this weekend. I did not even know it was this weekend until like earlier this week. I'm more interested in one game than the other. I think we're probably all agreeing in that. So let's start with the game that I think we all know is probably not going to go well. Number one, Alabama versus number 4 Notre Dame. We all go with Alabama here, I'm assuming. Big blowout.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Notre Dame doesn't deserve to be there. I don't care what anybody says.
They deserve to be there, but they're gonna get kicked.
Dude, listen, there's
no way. I just don't think Texas A&M. I just don't think they deserve to be in there either.
Listen, you've got a team like Texas A&M whose only loss is to Alabama, and
they got blown out by Alabama,
and a Cincinnati team that's undefeated. I'm sorry, it's hard to go undefeated. And anyway, Notre Dame in the past 6 playoffs / BCS championship games have lost by 20 points.
They're terrible. They're just.
So I'm tired of seeing them in there just to get their ass kicked. I'm tired of it. The nation is tired of it.
Get used to it.
Expand.
Because of this.
8 teams, expand.
They're going to get blown out. I'd be surprised if they kept it close with Bama, especially coming off the big loss to Clemson. Clemson just dominated them in the ACC championship game. It was ugly. And about Clemson versus Ohio State, rematch of last year's classic semifinal game. Seems like these two teams never find themselves in the championship against each other, always vying for that chance to play Alabama. Ohio State hasn't looked great this year. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Justin Fields looked awful against Northwestern. He didn't look like a guy who should go number 2 overall. He probably won't unless he really shows out in the playoffs. His stock has gone down. Do you guys think that he can elevate the Buckeyes? Clemson missing their offensive coordinator for this game, by the way, just in case that matters to you. I'm not sure what the status of a lot of players would be because you never know with COVID and all that. Caleb, I'll start with you. What you got here? Because this is more interesting, and I'll actually let everybody speak their piece on this.
I, for one, believe that Clemson is the far better team, and it shouldn't be close. But with it being the playoffs and with it being Ohio State, I could see it being close. But I just don't see I don't see any way that Clemson loses here. I think that the offensive firepower, along with how well the defense has been playing, as long as they can just limit Ohio State's run, I feel like it's going to be a relatively easy game for Clemson to go play Alabama in the championship.
Rob, what about you?
Yeah, I think they need to get Sermon going if you're Ohio State right now. I think he needs to have a big game for you. I think you need to be able to manage the clock and play good defense because I'm going to say something real quick that is maybe people won't agree with. It's a hot take. What was the last Ohio State QB to come into the NFL and have success?
None of them have been good at all.
So I want to throw that out there because I know Justin Field is a tremendous talent. I've seen him play football. I've seen him do it in big games. But I just want to throw that out there that we've seen a lot of Ohio State quarterbacks have phenomenal
especially in the
years.
last decade.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Ohio State quarterbacks, just quarterbacks, because Ohio State produces
Everywhere
NFL
else
talent.
they're producing.
Yeah, they produce NFL talent ridiculously, especially in the cornerback position everywhere. So I just want to let that be known that Ohio State's quarterbacks don't end up well in the NFL. But if Ohio State wants a shot in this game, they got to get the running game going, and Justin Fields has to hit his throws. If that happens, they have a shot.
What I will say about that is I don't scout the player. I scout the player, not the helmet. But I do understand the argument for Ohio State. It's just the classic thing. I mean, the quarterbacks have been terrible in the NFL. I think Fields is a lot better than all of them.
No, I agree.
But I think landing spot is really important for him. I think I thought that this year was a big letdown for me in terms of watching Fields because I thought that he was going to improve, and he really hasn't done too much in terms of improving. He played really well at the start of the year, but as he went on, and you started to notice decision making, reading the field, it's interesting, and it's something that you got to watch out for, and that's definitely an issue when you come to the league. Give me Clemson. I want to say I don't think it'll be close because
It'll be a 14-point game.
I think unless Ohio State's defense plays really well, and they have not played really well this year. Northwestern game was a step up, but Northwestern's offense was not that good. I mean, this team gave up 35 to Indiana. Give me Clemson by 14 plus because Lawrence is he's ridiculous. I mean, he's the greatest quarterback prospect we've seen in a while, probably since Luck. As much as we want to talk about Burrow last year, this is another level. This guy's insane. And ETN, I feel like he's due for a really big game, and he really had a big game last year against Ohio State. So we'll see what happens, but I think we're all going to ride with Clemson here. Lawrence is too good, man. It's hard to bet against them. Their whole roster is just too good. And we will hopefully next week we'll talk about the CFP championship game, and we'll predict that. All right. Let's take an ad break. Let's listen to our sponsor, Anchor. And then when we get right back, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into our upset picks, our lock picks, our fade picks. Then we'll pick the game of the week and then all the other games. We'll talk some NFL because those are that's always the biggest part of the episodes, at least right now. And we'll have some interesting discussion there. We'll be right back. Let's go hear from our sponsor, Anchor. All right. Let's get it, boys. We'll start with I've got it all written down. I got all y'all's picks written down. Hopefully I have everything right. I had to change some stuff because you two apparently are locked in arms and hands, locked in the same picks this week. She's like, geez, man, I've never seen that in my life. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome back to the Unfinished Business Podcast. We are back from the ad break. Thanks, as always, to our sponsor, Anchor, for providing us with this platform to record our podcast and upload it to the world. We are back. NFL Week 17, a lot of big games for playoff implications and a lot of non-big games for just no reason. Nothing happens. Draft picks, I guess. That's what we're going to call it. And me and Broad are definitely in the draft picks. Our teams are in the draft picks section of things. Caleb's is playing for a possible number 1 seed. I think. I'm not sure. I think the Saints.
There is a chance. There is a chance.
It's a weird scenario where it's weird, but the Packers are going to win. No, I'm just going to say that now. So it's not going to matter. We'll talk about that game later, though. Upset picks. We'll start with that. Very interesting week. Broad, I'm going to start with you. You got an interesting upset pick. I don't know if anybody would – it's an upset because it's against the spread. But with the way things are trending, I don't know how many people would be surprised by this.
Yeah, with the Jets winning this weekend, it's just one of the things where I'm seeing a lot of progression from Sam Darnold, and it feels like for some reason Adam Gase has this team playing well, which I hate to say that because I don't think Adam Gase is a good coach, but for some reason they're playing good defense. And I think they held the Browns. I know the Browns were like dismantled in the receiving game, but they held them to
I mean, they really slowed down Nick Chubb, though.
Yeah, Chubb and Hunt were not a factor at all. And I mean, even without the receivers, Njoku, Harrison Bryant, and Austin Hooper still are weapons for Baker. You didn't really see him too much. So I don't know. It's just one of the things where I see the Jets coming in and getting another win. Clearly, they don't really care about not getting a quarterback. I think they should ride with Sam Darnold at this point.
I think they should ride with Sam Darnold, fire Adam Gase, let Adam Gase go to Detroit.
Not that though. Not that
Yeah,
though.
let
Not that
Adam
though.
Gase go to Detroit.
No,
He would be
not that
perfect for
though.
the Lions
No,
franchise.
he would not.
But seriously though, I do think they're firing Adam Gase. They're gonna fire him. I don't care what anybody says. No, it doesn't matter if they go on a 3-game win streak to end the season. He's fired. Don't just pick the best player available at your pick, which is going to be top 5. It obviously sucks. It's not going to be like Lawrence, but Fields. There's my thing, and we'll talk about this more on with quarterbacks. But Fields, Wilson, Lance, I don't think they're in any of them are guarantees anymore. Like,
no, I agree.
You've seen, I thought earlier this year, these guys are going to hit. Fields, we already talked about. I've come off. Wilson struggled against Coastal Carolina, albeit he looked great against UCF last week. And Lance, we haven't seen. We don't know. I watched his tape against Central Arkansas. He looks good, but we have to see him against top-level competition, and we were not able to do that.
I want to see the Jets pick a weapon, if we're being honest.
I think that what they're going to do is pick the best player available, whether it's the left tackle from Oregon, Penei Sewell, which I don't know if that's they need offensive line, but you're not moving Mekhi Becton to right tackle.
Exactly. I would
stupid.
I would move him to the right tackle.
Even then, Sewell's a left tackle. He's a franchise left tackle. I'm going to be real. I think the Jets would benefit for maybe trading down a few spots and trying to get a guy like Devontae Smith. A weapon, like you said, even a guy like Kyle Pitts. There's a guy you have to at some point, or a corner. They need something because the defense isn't great and the weapons are Jamison Crowder is good. I think Lamical Pirine is the running back for next year. I think that he's shown me enough. Hope they don't bring Frank Gore back. Don't think they will, but they just need a few more weapons in there, and they can be a better team. And the AFC East is a division with Josh Allen, obviously, looks good. We don't know how the Dolphins are going to be next year. They might not be able to sustain this success. So there's opportunity. And the Patriots are not playing well right now. So interesting with the Jets. I could see it. I probably should have picked them last week to beat the Browns because you should know that the Browns will always disappoint you. Caleb, any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I just feel like the Jets with no implications are a better team than people would have thought earlier in the year. So this was my upset pick, but I'm a nice guy and I switched it. So
I will say that these guys just, these guys picked the exact same upset, lock, and fade of the week this week. The fade was different, but it was still the same game. It was like the opposite teams, and I just didn't want to talk about it twice. So I had to Caleb change. Patriots are a disaster right now. They need a quarterback, and they're not really in the position to get one. Buddy Spencer, he's a Patriots fan. He's a Boston sports fan, and he has this dream that they get Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott's not leaving Dallas.
Another name that's thrown out there has been Stafford.
But I don't know. Who knows what the Patriots do? Belichick, man, he didn't look great. He didn't look great coaching this year. That entire team had a lot. They really got hurt by the opt-out. So we'll see what happens there. And Cam's probably done there after year one. Caleb, let's go to you for your changed upset pick of the week.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go with the Texans over the Titans, and it's just for one huge reason, and it's the Titans enjoy shit in the bed when they need to win. So I feel like the Texans can really take advantage of that, and Deshaun Watson can have a really good game.
Okay. Broad, any thoughts on this game?
No, it's kind of crazy that we're going to see, possibly a 10-6 team not make the playoffs in the AFC. Possibly
there will be a 10-6 team, I guarantee you, that does not make the playoffs in the AFC.
That's what I'm saying. Or even an 11-5. If the Colts, if everybody wins this weekend, and I think the Colts don't make it, because the Ravens have the tiebreaker against them. So we could see an 11-5 team not make it. So this is a huge game. This is a huge game for the Titans. And if they don't get Derrick Henry going, which they should against a awful, pitiful defense, I don't think there should be an issue. But at the end of the day, the Texans have a top 5 quarterback on the other side with Deshaun Watson. So you never know.
Deshaun's played really well. They just lost to the Bengals. That scares me. This team just lost to the Cincinnati Bengals with Brandon Allen at quarterback, and that scares me. But I mean, I can see it. Deshaun has to play his tail off, and he has to play really well, play the lights out football. But I think the Titans are a team they're just going to run the ball. Henry's going to have a big day, just like he did earlier in the matchup between these two teams. I think he had 200-plus yards in that game. He got a long run. He usually always dominates the Texans, and he's just a really good player. We all know that. But I'm going to go with the Titans. I think Broad is as well. My upset pick of the week, and I hate picking this because it's literally just not what – I mean, I'd like to see them win. I don't really care. They're guaranteed a pick above their 13th or better, but at this point, I mean, season's lost. Broncos are going to win this week because that's what they do. They win in meaningless week 17 games and ruin their draft position because they just do that. And they always beat the Raiders at home. It's just how it goes. It's so weird. Broncos could be the worst team in the league, and they were in 2018. They were one of the worst, had a top 3 pick, and they ended up blowing out the Raiders in week 17 at home. It doesn't make any sense. They're going to do it, and I know they are, and I'm just going to pick it. I will say this. I've sold myself on Drew Lock for 2021. Eric sent me a NFL Game Pass thing. I watched the tape against the Chargers. Stat line did not show. It was one of his better games as a pro. Jerry Jeudy really hurt him with drops, but I'm going to go with the Broncos here. Raiders have had a lot of controversy over the past few weeks, and Denver as well, the whole defensive stuff, and everybody thinks they should fire their coach. Any thoughts on this game, fellas?
No, not really. I knew the Raiders were going to be this bad. Someone tried to tell me differently, but
well, they didn't look like they were going to be, and then they fell off, just like they did last year. So got kind of a trend to expect. Caleb, any thoughts here?
If you're not a fan of either of these teams, don't watch.
There you go.
Yeah, and I'll watch because I'm a fan. So that's the reason that I'm going to watch, and hopefully Drew Lock plays well. But I'm sold on him for 2021. Build the defense, draft defense, dude. Our defense has been really bad these last few weeks. Hard to watch. All right, on to the lock picks of the week. These are ones we really don't talk about too much because they're what they are. They're locks. We're so confident in them, we're not even going to talk. Broad, you seem to always lock up against whoever's playing the Jaguars. Like, I think it's just a Broad thing to do now. Colts over the Jaguars. I will say this. I do want to talk about the Colts. Do you think – it's a tough loss last week. They looked really good in the first half against the Steelers. Then they fell off. The wheels fell off, and Big Ben resurged from the dead and just killed them in the second half. So what do you all think of this Colts team? Do you guys think if they win, if they can make any noise in the playoffs?
Yeah, because they have a good offensive line, and if Phillip Rivers plays good in the intermediate routes and T.Y. Hilton's a threat down the field, I think they can do it. Their defense is what we expect. They're good. They're a good defensive team. They got Leonard at the linebacker position, who's really well. They are able to create turnovers. I just really think it comes down to if they're able to enforce their run game, and if they are, I think they can win a playoff game.
Yeah, our boy Jonathan Taylor, we were hyping him up all offseason. He really struggled in the first 10 weeks, but he's been hot recently, and the Colts have been feeding him. Caleb needed that a little bit earlier for fantasy. The Colts seemed to they gave it to him once the Caleb's fantasy season was over, which really sucks. Jaguars getting T-Law, good for them.
They suck, by the way. They suck.
They're terrible, but I thought they were going to win before the Jets did, and they beat the Colts in week 1. I think everybody forgets that because that game was it's just weird. Minshew was 95% completion percentage in that game. It's insane. They're just terrible. They need to build around Trevor Lawrence, and hopefully they do. They have some weapons at least with DJ Chark, James Robinson, Laviska Shenault, even Keelan Cole. But they need to help. They need to build that defense up again. They need to build that offensive line because I just don't want to see Trevor Lawrence get ruined there in Jacksonville. But it would have been the same thing for the Jets. Either way, it's just kind of the same boat here. But I agree with that. Colts are going to win. I'm locking in the Buccaneers against the Falcons. Buccaneers destroyed the Lions last week. It was ugly. Blaine Gabbert, he was throwing dimes, going out and diming up that Lions D. I feel bad for the Lions, seriously, but I think they'll figure it out. They'll get a good coach this year. Hopefully, I think they were going to hire a GM as well. If they were smart, they'd probably hire Louis Riddick. I think he's probably the best GM out there right now.
That's what I want.
Head coach wise, I honestly think they need to go for a guy like Joe Brady. Honestly, I think is a guy that they could use. I don't know who they've interviewed, but they don't need to bring back the guy that is the interim coach right now. This guy is not the head coach for the future.
He's a good OC because he's able to work the offense. With Kenny being out, he's done really well. But I'm a big fan of the defensive coordinator out of the 49ers. I think he's done a really good job.
Yeah, I think Saleh will be the guy. I do think he'll be the
he's
guy.
from Michigan. I've heard he's from Michigan, and
He
he's got
is,
ties
yeah.
there. And I like him as a character, and he's done really well with that defense, who's had injuries all year long, and they've been playing really good. So I'm a big fan of going after him.
Yeah, I feel you. That's a good pickup for them. I think that's probably who they hire, and we'll see who they hire at GM. But that's not even the point here. We're talking about the Buccaneers and the Falcons. I'm not trusting the Falcons right now. They seem like they're always going to keep it close, but they're always going to lose in the end. They almost beat the Chiefs, but they lost. They blew a lead against the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago. They lost. Give me the Bucs. Tom Brady's on fire recently, at least these last few weeks. They're in the playoffs. They're going to use this game. They might rest players. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Bruce Arians says they're going to treat it like a playoff game, so I'm going to trust him here, and I'm going to go with the Bucs. The Falcons are probably just going to be tanking for draft picks at this point in this game, and we will see that game. I'm not going to watch it, but Bucs over the Falcons for me. Caleb, lock pick of the week.
I'm going with the Ravens over the Bengals. Ravens really need to win this. Bengals aren't very good. Should be an easy game to just run the ball down the Bengals' throats and get out of there with no repercussions.
Yeah, that's going to be ugly. The Ravens are really hot right now. Lamar is on fire. He's playing really well, and it's very good to see because he was struggling earlier this year, and he's kind of elevated himself back to that MVP play. Although I will say he's not running the ball as much. He's stepping in the pocket, throwing the football, slinging that thing around, looking good doing it too. Fade picks of the week. This is where it gets interesting because we have two NFC Beast games and a NFC North game with no implications at all. So let's start with the NFC North game because it sucks. And, it's really tough to see Dalvin Cook not playing. Matthew Stafford's probably not going to play either. I don't think it'd be smart for him to play. So, Caleb, you're fading the Vikings over the Lions here with that said. Is Dalvin Cook a big reason for that?
Yeah, he's the only reason of that. I think that Kirk Cousins is good, or decent. I'll say decent.
Kirk Cousins is good. I will say that for you.
Okay, you can say
I think I think the defense has been so bad this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I think that not having Dalvin, who is the monster that he is in the passing and the running game, really it's going to hurt their offense. I think that Madison's not good enough to be a number one. I think he's a really good number two. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes with these probably 15-plus carries he'll get. But, yeah, I think that it'll be an interesting game to watch because I don't know if either of these teams are going to want to win, if that makes sense. But I feel like the Vikings are still going to pull it out. But I'm not super confident about it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you if, maybe they were playing, anybody good, but they're not. They're playing us.
One of the worst defenses in the league.
And Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen will have their way no matter what. At the end of the day, we're missing Jeff Okudah. As much as he hasn't played well this season, still a cornerback who is starting to get his feet under him, and we don't have anybody with him out. We don't have a single person that can guard anybody. So it doesn't matter if they don't have Dalvin Cook because Avonte Maddox can look like Dalvin Cook against our defense. So
Alexander Madison, by the way. Avonte Maddox is a cornerback.
There you go. I don't even care who it is. Whoever it is, anybody can run 100 yards on our defense. Put anybody back there, they run for 100 yards, I guarantee you. So I'm not worried about it at all. I think we got our ass kicked, and I'm not watching this. So,
I'm a big Lions fan this week, man. I hope you guys win so the Broncos move up in the draft order.
You're asking for a David Blau classic. That's what you're asking.
Yeah, David Blau probably is playing too. That's interesting. I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch that game. I'm very interested. Yeah, you're a big David Blau guy. You're going to watch that game. So stop saying you won't. You're going to. All right, NFC Beast. This division is insanely awful. And somehow, some way, there's 3 teams that can still win it. The Eagles, the team that I think we all thought were going to win it at the start of the season, is not going to win it because they have just been devastated by Carson Wentz. So the other 3 teams, it's just hard to keep a straight face when you're talking about this division. I'm fading the Cowboys over the Giants because I have no idea what to expect in this game. The Cowboys, Andy Dalton's been playing really well recently. Their defense still is not good. Randy Gregory had a big game last week in his return. I'm going to fade them over the Giants. I like the Giants defense. I'm not sure about Danny Dimes. Going to be interesting because like the Giants could literally go to like number 5 or 6 in the draft order if they lose this game. And that's insane to think about, or they could go in the playoffs. Any thoughts on this game, which is Washington starting a 3rd-string quarterback in the other game. So this is pretty much the NFC East Championship game.
The Dallas Cowboys are going to end up winning that division. I guarantee you.
And that's sad because there's no reason for that.
It's crazy and it's ridiculous, but I just don't see. I think the Giants are better off losing this game as a team. They've played really well under Joe Judge. So I want to see them get a top 5 pick because I want to see them get better because I'm really excited for a Giants team that it's on the come up right now. So I think Dallas wins this game, and then we'll talk about the other game here in a second.
Yeah. What about you, Caleb?
Yeah, I think that the Cowgirls are going to win this game. Danny Dimes is just so terrible. So I just can never pick for him. But I just want to make sure that if Carlos is listening, Trayvon Diggs isn't good just because he got a pick last week. He's still terrible. Just one.
Oh, he got a pick last week? I'm sure he got burned like twice, though.
He picked off Jalen Hurts on a throw out of sack.
Oh, Jalen Hurts. Okay. That's what he picked off. Man.
Jalen Hurts looked terrible last week.
He looked awful last week.
For a guy that people don't learn, man. You know, we hype up guys after 2 weeks. And you have to let him play a full season. You have to look. I learned my lesson with Drew Lock, but even I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I even learned my lesson with Mikael Cunningham. I watched him play a full season, and I thought he was raw.
All right. The other game, maybe Washington can pull it out. I don't know. Taylor Heineke is going to be their starting quarterback, provided Alex Smith does not play, which he didn't practice today. So it doesn't look like he will. Even then, you never know. This game's going to be tough for them because Eagles are, they've played well recently other than last week. Hurts has been all right other than last week. Sanders has been good. Brad, you're fading the football team here. Is it just the Heineke thing? You don't really know enough about the guy to trust him here?
Yeah, it's one of the things where if Alex Smith plays, I'm dead on, Washington winning that football game. Alex Smith's been playing really good football for them, and they win.
Well, no, he's been playing game manager football.
Well, I'm just good football. I'm saying in regards to good
for the standards that they've set in Washington.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's winning games.
He's winning games. Game where he threw like 300 yards.
Yeah, that was against.
Yeah, that was against the Detroit Lions.
We still won though. So
okay, but the Detroit Lions defense, it's not hard to throw for 300 yards. Tom Brady had 350 yards at halftime.
Anyway.
I'm sorry, man.
Decent football. Okay, I'll give you decent football.
Decent football.
He's been winning games, and he's put them in a position to win a division. Personally, I want to see the Cowboys win this division because I don't want to see him get a good draft pick, and I don't want to see him get any better.
Well, they're stupid because if you were smart, you would just call this a chopped up year once Dak got hurt.
Exactly.
And tank for the best draft pick possible. But no, Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy, they think, oh my God, Andy Dalton's going to win us a playoff game. Well, I have words for you, Jerry. Tom Brady is not going to lose to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care if the game's at AT&T Stadium. They're not going to lose to the Dallas Cowboys defense, which is almost as bad as Detroit's defense.
Watch out for the red rifle, baby. Watch out.
He's been playing well, but it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter.
He's on a mission to show everybody that it wasn't his fault. It was the Bengals' fault. It was not his fault. So, I don't know. I don't really care. Washington, I think, is going to lose without Alex Smith.
It's so depressing that this is the Sunday night football game. Like,
I'll be watching because I'll be watching.
I'll be watching it because it's I'll probably watch this because it's a kind of a play-in game for them.
Exactly.
But it's just terrible, man. We like last year. What did we have? The Seahawks Niners division championship. That was such a good game. Now we have the Washington football team in the 4-win.
They give that division so many primetime games. It's ridiculous.
Well,
it's getting
yeah, it's just
annoying.
because of that Dallas
It's
team.
getting annoying, man. I do not want to see the Cowboys and the Eagles. Like I don't want to see any of them on a prime time. I do not want to see any of them on prime time.
Yeah. All right. Game of the week. This is a play-in game. For real. Just like either winner of this game is in the playoffs. Rams, Cardinals. Rams are starting John Wolford, former Wake Forest signal caller. I know we have watched him before. He's played Louisville. I remember a couple times he played Louisville. Notably tore Louisville apart in the Bobby Petrino final year of Lamar Jackson. I think he also tore them apart in the next year. John Wolford, almost called him Sam. John Wolford, he looked good in the AAF. That's what I heard. But, I mean, I don't know. The Rams, without Cooper Kupp, who's going to be on the COVID list. Jared Goff got surgery on his thumb. They think he's going to be back. I'm not going to lie, guys. I did not even see what happened to Jared Goff. Did he get sacked? Like, I wasn't watching that game.
So he was like throwing it, and then his like thumb got jammed on a dude's helmet.
Oh yeah, that's awful. That's like Drew Brees' injury last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be healthy enough to play in the playoffs. I was really high on the Rams, but then they lost to the Jets, and I'm not high on them anymore. They have to earn my trust back. They really didn't do it last week against the Seahawks. Broad, you're picking the Rams here. Even with John Wolford at quarterback, you're still picking them, or is that?
I don't know what to take of the Cardinals. I heard Kyler Murray's
He said he's playing.
Okay, what's it? Because I saw he got injured, but
yeah, he said he's playing today.
Just one of the things where I've seen the Cardinals play some god awful football.
I mean, they're coming off a terrible game.
That's what I'm saying, against a defense who is actually defense who's been injured all year in the 49ers, and then they're playing a defense who's actually good, who has Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, two of respectively top 5 in their position. So it's one of the things where it's like I could see Murray really having a bad game in this defense winning the game for them. Is Cam Akers going to play, or is he still?
Let me check, because that is a big key piece. He's been playing really well for them. He got hurt.
If they're able to establish the run game, I mean, if Wolford can make throws, McVay is a genius when it comes to football. If Cam Akers is able to play and, put a positive force on the game, I can see them winning with Kyler Murray playing bad football like he has been of late.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily all his fault last week. Their offense just in general wasn't helping him a lot. And in general, I just don't think Cliff Kingsbury's a good coach.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen too many mistakes from Murray where I don't think he's playoff ready.
Yeah. Akers was estimated as a non-participant on Wednesday's injury report. Henderson is on the IR.
Yeah.
So it's Malcolm Brown's season in LA, and it feels like I'm pretty sure he had a really big game last year in week 17. Feels like they're going to need that again. Blake Bortles, they signed him off Denver's practice squad. Maybe he comes and saves the day in LA. I honestly, if I was the Rams, I'd start Bortles because he's got more experience. Wolford really has not played in an NFL game, I don't think. So will be interesting to watch. I'm going to go with the Cardinals just because I trust Kyler Murray more, even though I'm not big on them and Cliff Kingsbury as a whole. Caleb, are you going with the Cardinals here as well?
Yeah, I went with the Cardinals. Got to watch the Rams play last week. Just everything seemed out of sorts for them, and losing their quarterback and number 1 receiver doesn't make it any better. So
the defense is good, but it's just something's got to give with them.
The defense last week looked abysmal.
I mean, they only gave up 20 points. I didn't watch.
Yeah, you're right, but Chris Carson and Rashad Penny both had 2 huge runs. So
okay.
Just a little update. Kyle Trask has thrown 3 picks.
Nice. Yep. That's NFL first round talent. Bears are going to draft him in the first round.
Mitch is the guy.
I'm just kidding. Mitch might be the guy. That's funny though. Kyle Trask is not going to be good in the NFL. That's just something.
Devontae Smith should win the Heisman, if we're gonna be honest.
He's going to win the Heisman.
He should
guaranteed. When do they announce it?
I don't know. I think is it this weekend? Is it this weekend?
This has been so late.
Yeah, no, I think it's early. I think it was usually earlier than this, but he won
It's
AP player.
earlier. It's in first week of December, but it got pushed back because of COVID.
He won AP Player of the Year, which was like the first ever for I think it was the first ever as position since I don't know what.
1988.
Yeah, so I could
Yeah.
if him winning the Heisman is it's setting up to win a Heisman because I haven't seen a receiver win the Heisman in forever.
Yep. We will see what happens. I'm interested to see. All right, consensus games we're all in agreement on. The really exciting rematch, Mason Rudolph versus Myles Garrett. This is going to be Steelers. They don't have anything to play for. I get it. Rest Big Ben. He needs the rest. He really hasn't looked good other than that second half last week. Browns need to win a playoff game. Need to win to get in the playoffs. Even with Mason Rudolph starting on the other side, part of me wants to pick the Steelers, but I'm just going to ride with the Browns because I'm hoping they get their receiving core back. If they don't, I'm changing this pick. I'm going to put that on record right now. Any of you guys changing your pick if they don't get their receiving core back?
Yeah, absolutely. If they don't get their receiving core back, there's no way they
Okay.
win the football game.
Okay. We're all going with the Browns, though. Enough said. Baker Mayfield has played well. Really sucks that he didn't have his receivers last week, obviously. Seahawks over the Niners. Niners have been impressive. You know, with all the injuries they've had, they've really withstood those. Seahawks probably they have something to play for this week, so they're not resting starters. Give us all the Seahawks. Russell Wilson played. I'm assuming he played better last week.
Yeah, he game managed, but defense played spectacular.
Defense has played better, and I was a big critic of the defense, and I think that if the defense plays like this, they're the biggest threat to the Packers in the NFC. Those are the two best teams in that conference. And speaking of the Packers, Packers. Bears need to win to get in. Packers aren't resting starters. I hate to say it for Chicago, but lights out, man. Aaron Rodgers is on a roll. MVP this year. I don't think we're arguing that right now. Especially, right now he's just been playing lights out football. What he did to the Titans, Packers are scary. They're my NFC Super Bowl pick right now. If that defense plays like they did on Sunday night, they're gonna win the NFC.
It's a runaway with Rodgers right now. Like nothing against Mahomes, but Mahomes isn't playing good. Like
he's not played as well as we expect.
That's what I'm saying.
The stats are good, but
when he's not playing Mahomes football, that doesn't mean anything. Like at the end of the day, we all know what he does, but Rodgers is running away with the MVP.
I hope it's Chiefs versus Packers or Seahawks. One of those two. If that's the Super Bowl, that'll be fun.
I need to see a Chiefs. To be honest, I want to see a Chiefs Bills matchup, and then I want to see a Chiefs Ravens matchup, and then I want to see a Chiefs Packers matchup. I think all those would be good games.
We'll talk about the playoffs next week. That'll be fun. We'll see what the bracket is later this weekend. But we're all going with the Packers over the Bears. Sucks for the Bears that they have to play them now when they really need a win because we know how Rodgers does Chicago. It's bad. It's always been bad, and it's going to continue to be bad. Wrapping it up with our non-consensus games. Caleb, interestingly, after the Chiefs announced that they were benching Mahomes this week, resting him, not benching, but you originally picked the Chiefs. You're sticking with that pick. Who are they starting at quarterback?
Is it Chad Henne? Is Henne
Chad Henne.
Chad Henne?
So you're a big Chad Henne guy. That's what I'm getting from this.
I'm a huge Chad Henne guy. Huge lover.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. No, dude, it's just that it's the Chargers, man. Can never decide what team's going to show up during a week. Might as well just pick the Chiefs, see if they can pull one out of their ass to end the season. Chargers
should not have beaten us last week. They literally, if Jerry Jeudy doesn't drop a wide open touchdown, probably 2 wide open touchdowns, Broncos win with ease, but apparently he has butterfingers now. I'm going to roll with the Chargers, though. Herbert's been playing – he's been so-so recently. He hasn't really done – I expected him to do a lot more against the Broncos last week because our defense has been decimated with injuries. He didn't really play that well. Eckler's played decently, not really running the football too well. Keenan Allen probably not playing in this game, I don't think. I just don't think it'd be smart for him to play. If he's injured, no point. He lost season at this point for the Chargers. Real question is, will Anthony Lynn keep his job after winning? If they win this game, it's 3 games in a row to close the season. I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys, do you guys think he keeps his job if they win this game?
As much as a fan as Caleb is of Chad Henne, I'm a huge fan of Anthony Lynn. And I say extend Anthony Lynn, baby.
I agree.
I need to see him.
As a Broncos fan, extend Anthony Lynn. Give him a 10-year contract. just like the one John Gruden has, because those two coaches are disasters.
Hey, like Gruden said, he needs 10 years to build a team. That's what Anthony Lynn needs, okay? After his 10 years are up, you'll see a Super Bowl. Promise.
Yep, that is funny. Anthony Lynn probably will, honestly, with the Chargers. I would not be surprised if they win this game. Even if they lose, I think they'll probably bring him back, just because that's the way that franchise is run. Saints-Panthers. I'm going with the Panthers, boys. I'm not sold on Drew Brees right now. He's not played well since he got back. Who did they play last week? Off the top of my head, I'm forgetting.
Oh my God, who did they play? They were on Sunday, right? They were on Sunday, 4:25.
Yeah, they were on Sunday. Oh my God.
4:25. I think
they were on Friday against the Vikings.
Oh, that's what it was.
That's what it was.
It was Friday.
Alvin Kamara, 6 touchdowns. That we got to talk about that. That was insane. That's the Vikings, bro. That 6 touchdowns was impressive. When you look at it and you watch the game, how many of those were 1-yard touchdowns?
Oh, a lot. I think at least half.
He played well. He broke a lot of tackles, but a lot of teams could do that. They could just run it up with their running backs. And Sean Payton is a bitch. Not going to lie. I'm not going to hold it back. Giving Taysom Hill a touchdown late in that game when Kamara could have had 7. Sean Payton's racist. He's racist. He has something with Taysom Hill. They get a room, bro. Get a room with the guy. Because you play him over Jameis Winston, he's not better than him, and you give him snaps, you take away opportunities for other players, he's a joke. No Michael Thomas until the playoffs. Saints, I'm just not sold. I think the Panthers are a team that's better than their record. No CMC, no Mike Davis this week. It doesn't seem to matter. Teddy Bridgewater, I think Saints, I just don't trust them here. I think they're going to come in a little flat-footed here, and the Panthers are going to steal one from them. They almost did steal one from them earlier this year when these two teams played. Joey Slott missed like a 65-yard field goal. So give me Teddy to pull off the upset here. You guys are both riding with the Saints, though, right?
Yeah. With the Drew Brees thing, I just think they brung him back way too early. Like, I think that was the issue. I don't think he was ready to play. I mean, I understand it was against the Chiefs, but I mean, I don't know. I think Jameis should have been starting in period. But yeah. I don't think that Drew Brees should have been back until about maybe playoffs, to be honest with you. I didn't think they need to really bring him back for anything.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted the 1 seed. That's all you can say is that's what they wanted, and they probably won't get it. So it sucks now, but they better hope he can play a lot better in the playoffs because they're going to need it. Dolphins, Bills is going to be a good game. I don't know if the Bills are resting anybody. I'd expect them to rest starters in the second half. I don't think they're going to play Josh Allen the full game. I don't think they're going to play guys like Stephon Diggs the full game. Dolphins need a win to get in. Broad, you're like a closet Dolphins fan. You're picking the Dolphins here?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I'm kind of surprised that the Steelers and Dolphins aren't fighting for that position, the 2 and 3. Because, I mean, I think that matters, in my opinion, depending on who you play in the playoffs. So I'm surprised.
The Bills and the Steelers, right?
Bills and Steelers. So I'm surprised they're not. I'm surprised that they're not trying to fight for the 2 and 3 seed. But I guess they don't really care as much. But this is a big game for Miami. I think this is a big game for Tua. I think Flores has shown, like you guys have said, that we've talked about, that maybe he doesn't trust Tua as much. I don't think we've trust Tua as much, and he hasn't shown. He's shown the ability to game manage, but I don't know. I think that Brian Flores is just right now worried about winning games, and I think he'll find a way to win this game, whether it's with Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tua at quarterback.
Yeah, Brian Flores needs to stop with this decision making. He's going to ruin his young quarterback if he doesn't, and that's what I'm nervous about.
On that note, that Ryan Fitzpatrick throw was ridiculous.
That was insanely lucky, I will say. The Raiders are idiots. Only Raiders. They only did it like they only can. They had that thing against the Jets a few weeks ago. They got their payback last week. That was their karma. Carr played well in that game. They did enough to win, and then Fitzmagic happened. I'm going to go with the Dolphins just because I don't think the Bills are going to play starters full game. Caleb, you're going with the Bills here, though.
Well, yeah, I'm saying the Bills as if we know that we're gonna get a good amount of the starters. If we're not getting the starters for more than half, 3/4, then the Dolphins should win. But if I'm saying this as if we're getting a full game of the starters.
Okay. Yeah, the Bills are definitely probably the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC, and that's going to be a fun matchup if they get there. I do remember in their regular season game, the Chiefs were able to run the ball all over the Bills. They really, really ran it over them. And the Bills, their defense is playing a lot better. The run game concerns me, but we're not going to talk about that too much until next week. So that is it for our NFL picks. I will say I want to update the people on the standings here. Broad, you'd be in it if you didn't keep picking the Detroit Lions every week
Yeah.
prior to this week. Caleb, you are up by 1 game on me. Broad is 9 games behind. So it's not as bad as college football.
Need a big week this week.
Broad's gonna need a big week this week. We'll probably do playoffs as well. We'll keep it going for the playoffs. We might like double the worth of the playoff games too. Maybe help Broad catch up 2 times the points. So that'll be interesting. But those standings are close, and we will see what happens. Really excited to watch some basketball tonight and watch this bowl game because apparently Kyle Trask sucks. That's what Broad's telling me. So that is it. We will be back next week on the 7th. No. Probably the 5th or the 6th, honestly, because I'm supposed to go on Eric's podcast on the 7th. So we'll be back on the 5th or the 6th. We'll figure it out. We'll announce it on the Twitter at UnfinishedBiz, BUSPC. Make sure you go follow us because we really do appreciate that and all that support. That's all I got. You guys got anything?
Nope. Everybody have a great night and enjoy their New Year's Eve.
Yep. Enjoy New Year's Eve. Let's welcome in 2021 with a good start. Hopefully it's a lot better than 2020 has been for a lot of people. That's all for us. This has been the Unfinished Business Podcast. Signing off. Good work, fellas. All right. I'll talk to you, Caleb. I'm probably going to be online, so I'll talk to you.